Hey y'all, it's Anime Game, and today I'm going to be reviewing the 49th episode of Captain Tsubasa. And while this episode wasn't as exceptional as the previous two episodes that came before it, this episode still had some nice content because, for one, let me just get the slight negatives out of the way. Honestly, the animation wasn't really that good this episode. Aside from a few key scenes here and there, like Tsubasa's overhead kick, and the sequences where Tsubasa is suffering under pain when his shoulder gets hit by the tiger shot of Hyuga. The animation in this episode was pretty bad. But, at the very least, the story content in this episode was nice. Because for one, I do like how in this episode, you have even Tsubasa acknowledge stuff like, even though he's probably not going to be a pro player with all these injuries, he still wants to leave his mark on Japanese football. And that sequence was pretty great, I gotta say, his inner monologue. It made me just appreciate Tsubasa's character even more, just to get to see his goal and him working towards it fiercely. It just makes this tournament and this specific match have much more weight. So that was a beautiful thing about this episode. And I also like how, from a story perspective, this episode didn't have a single dull moment. Because even with the animation being disappointing in a few instances, this episode still had some good content. Like Ishizaki and Takasugi taking tiger shots into their stomach. And you see them like fall on the ground as if they were beat up. And I was like, damn. So I still like how the grit was still there this episode. And I fucking loved it. So, props to the director, even though he probably didn't have a big animation pull to work with, he still made it work. So that was also another cool thing from the story standpoint. And then when it finally came time for Tsubasa to make a goal, I like how it actually set up Ishizaki pretty much getting the ball away from Hyuga, and then him doing an overhead kick pass to Tsubasa so that he can do an overhead kick. Those sequences were also well directed and well done. And I also gotta give props to the animators for that, because it made the goal have much weight, and simultaneously it made the goal feel earned, because you see throughout the whole episode Tsubasa suffering, taking on painkillers to resist the pain, and then when you have some flashbacks with the doctor telling, not the doctor, but when you have I think one of the characters having an inner monologue saying that even though Tsubasa's not feeling a lot of pain because of the painkillers, it's still causing damage even though he's not feeling pain. And I was like, oh lord. So, I like sequences like that. It makes this episode feel like it has much more of an emotional impact because of that. So, that was also another cool thing. And it was nice that when Tsubasa helps move the tiger shot using his bad shoulder, I was like, damn. Stuff like that makes me like Tsubasa's character even more, just his actions. And then when you see, like, when everyone sees the writing of the 3 straight championships, and everyone's all pumped up, it pumped me up too while watching this episode, and I was hyped up. So that's why I felt this episode was great from a story standpoint. It had a lot of emotional beats, while also looking into the future when they're talking about the Europe tour, how they want to make Misugi a coach, and I was like, alright, I'm liking where this is going. So I kind of like that. Because at the very least we're getting cool events, while at the same time we're getting events built up towards the future. And even though we didn't have a substantial amount of character development, we still had some cool character moments, like when Ishizaki was remembering how he's the guy that's been with Tsubasa from the start. And then when you see him do some like cool ass passes, that was another nice element about this episode. And then also I like how it even gave us weight from the Toho Academy side from a character standpoint, when you have Wakashimazu's father say that if he doesn't win this tournament, then he's gonna have to give up his football career forever. And I'm like, damn. So it feels like no matter what happens, there's going to be some major losses either from the Toho Academy side or the Nakatsuki side, no matter what. Because if there's a loss through the Nakatsuki side, then Tsubasa pretty much having his body suffer through all these possibly life-altering injuries would be all for naught. But if Toho Academy loses, then Wakashimasa is going to have to retire from playing football forever. So I like it. It's going to have like a stinging taste no matter who wins, but in a good way though. So that's what I really love about this episode. It's going to be like whoever wins, it's not going to be so simple. There's going to be something plot altering that's going to happen. So I love that too. And the soundtrack was well placed as always, even though we didn't have any new tracks. The soundtrack in this episode was always utilized to max effect. And the voice cast did a great job. And that's why I'm going to rate this episode a 7.5 out of 10. It was good. Obviously not as good as some of the previous episodes, but it still gets the job done. And it's still above average, and it gets me eagerly anticipating more. So anyways, guys and gals, these are my thoughts on the episode. Comment down your thoughts in the comment section below. Rate the video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Subscribe for more. Alright, thank you so much for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.